enterprise value over earnings, 1813. Five-year P, 219. And 5-year EV over E, 845. Now, remember, enterprise value is kind of the unleveraged, a PE for the unleveraged firm. So for most firms, EV over E is going to be greater than price earnings. And there's going to be very few firms where net liabilities are actually negative, but that's rare. And let's since I'm lazy. Next, let's do American Airlines. And given that there's a big difference between PE and enterprise value over E, whether forward or not, you can easily tell that Delta is a highly leveraged company. I mean, if you look at the balance sheet alone, their total assets is $73 billion. Their liabilities are about 65. So their debt equity ratio, where's that? It's over 3. That means for each $1 of their own money, they have $3 of debt. Let's look at the same numbers for American Airlines. Statistics. 1127 is the price. Remember, the greens are my inputs. Forward PE is 333. And on this page, I also have the number of shares, 653.36. From analysis tab, growth next year negative 130, then 83.42. That sounds weird, actually. All of these numbers are conditional on accuracy of those growth forecasts. I entered the wrong place. Copy, paste values. Now let's get the liabilities and cash. Balance sheet quarterly. It looks like American Airlines is even more leveraged. Total liability is 71,645. Cash-like assets, 12,061. Just reading off the numbers. Forward PE is 333. Enterprise value over 3028. Five-year PE is 0.43. And given these, if you had to pick between American Airlines and Delta, which one would you pick to buy? I put a gun to your head, you have to pick one.
So, I mean, between the two of them, I'm going to say probably Delta.
Why?
I mainly just because their price to earnings ratio is just better, and that's really
But remember, price to earnings ratio is based on earnings expected just 1 year.
sure, but that all the 5-year is also better.
Let's see.
Am I reading that wrong?
5-year PE?
Yeah.
No, 5-year PE for Delta is 219. For American Airlines, 0.43. If I didn't misread it. Yeah. And if you looked at based on enterprise value over earnings, again, it's better to look at the 5-year numbers because it incorporates the growth estimates. American Airlines still better. Remember, you want those numbers to be lower. But that also depends upon the accuracy of those growth forecasts. For some reason, that numbers sounds a little bit suspect. I don't know why. I don't know the industry, so next year's negative 130, 5-year average 83. There must be something special going on with American Airlines. On the other hand, Delta numbers were relatively more reasonable. Now we're going to look at another one of these. Southwest Airlines. I don't know why, it's Nick is love. Southwest Airlines is actually pretty different from the others, as you're going to see quickly. Statistics. Of course, let me do it for Southwest. One of the reasons I use this macro-enabled one, just create a copy of this. Okay, let's do it for Southwest. 2427. Forward PE is 998. Number of shares 595.63. Let's look at analysis. 3450, 3776. And the balance sheet. 25,730. Cash-like assets, 12,179. So forward P is 998. Enterprise value over E is 1934. Five-year P is 468. And 5-year EV over E is 907. I don't know why it kind of became like a table, but same idea. It looks like American Airlines is pretty much the cheapest, but there is also a big difference. The one thing that we didn't incorporate in those 5 years earnings. Southwest Airlines is not as risky as the other two. Looking at their equity ratio, 86%. So for each dollar of their own money, they're borrowing 86 cents. For American Airlines or for Delta, that number was 3. For American Airlines, it doesn't even have the numbers because I think they have negative equity. Yep, their liabilities are greater than their assets. Part of the reason is they lost a lot of money during COVID times. So ever since then, they have become negative equity. So that means these two companies are a lot riskier. So in one sense, we may want to do